And we're back. Boy, I've always wanted to do that. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Scout's Eye with my guy, Voch Lombardi.
Yes, sir.
Working on the Cicago Bears this week. What do you find in some of your initial thoughts about this football team? Is there some things that Dallas can maybe work on, attack?
Bryan, the Cowboys have an opportunity to go 2-1. Having a chance to go 2-1 is much better than trying to go 1-2. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the Cowboys gonna have a little bit of confidence coming from the Giants game. That's fantastic for them. But I think that this Bears game is right on time for them. Right. I wouldn't call it a warm up because I got to take everybody seriously.
Ooh.
But just getting them ready for this Green Bay Packers game coming up, Bryan Broaddus. Now, I think a lot of things are going to be similar to the Eagles game in Week 1, and I think some things are going to be similar to what you just dealt with the New York Giants. Let's do it.
Can I throw something at you real quick? Do you ever buy into the desperate team theory?
100%. I think the Giants were real desperate.
I think you're about to play another team that's really, really desperate.
Gotta do what you gotta
I mean, I know you got to do what you got to do, but I worry about Cowboys being on the road, 0-2 Bears team, fan base kind of crumpling in on him, new coach, kind of a lot of he was the darling of the media world of the hires. I am a desperate team theory guy. I worry about this one a little bit.
So throughout the week, Bryan is going to be picking against our beloved Cowboys. Let's break down some film. A couple of ways. I think
what do you got for me?
Some things I think the Cowboys should look at. Jalen Johnson, cornerback from the Bears. Hurt groin situation like that.
Out.
He's going to be out.
Yeah.
So hey, that's an opportunity you have. You lose your All-Pro corner, they lose theirs. But Bryan, there's a familiar face right over there. That's Nahshon Wright.
Nahshon Wright.
Former Cowboy.
You found him.
I found him, Bryan Broaddus. I know he got an interception in Week 1, but boy, Cowboys, don't let that fool you. The Lions here were not amused by old Nahshon Wright. And if it's up to me, Bryan Broaddus, I think you can attack all these guys.
That looked very familiar to what we might have saw a little bit with Dallas.
It was a whole bunch of throwing the ball down the field. Now, if the Cowboys want to continue this trend of deep ball stuff, using Lamb, using Pickens, finding the scrub, I think looking for Nahshon Wright is a fantastic way to do it. Now, one other thing that we have to worry about, the Bears kind of play defense like Flus still plays defense.
Sure.
I don't know why they're doing that, but they're going to play a bunch of zone, but they're only going to rush for the most part, Bryan.
Sure.
So these are your guys that's just rushing for. If you look at this pocket by Jared Goff, he ain't worried about nothing.
No.
So what you got to do as a Cowboys offensive line, luckily for you, there's no Dexter Lawrence, there's no Brian Burns, or some of these
Thibodeau,
monsters that you just dealt with last week. You got a regular, cool, pretty good Bears D-line to work with. Block those guys up front. Go find Nahshon Wright. Go get him.
Well, I was going to ask you about that because when we get into the study, too, about Montez Sweat.
Yes, sir.
Who, we kind of know from Philadelphia, signed a big money deal with the Bears.
Yep.
Is that probably their best pass rusher, you think, or is that something that we're going to have to worry about a little bit here?
Montez is a guy you got to worry about. Grady Jarrett is another guy you have to worry about. Dayo Odeyingbo is low key, really good. He's a very solid player.
Sure,
but I'm just talking about Brian Burns.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
The names.
Avon Thibodeau.
Right,
like, those guys are like dangerous.
Right.
Montez is good.
Right.
Grady Jarrett's a little older, but Grady's not Dexter Lawrence.
Sure.
And Brock Hoffman center in this game, right?
Right.
So, that's something that, that you have to deal with.
Right.
I just think that this D-line that you're getting ready to line up against is they're good, but they're not as good as this last week that you just that you just dealt with there. But like I say, Bryan Broaddus, block them up front like the Lions did right here. The Lions got some pretty good, some decent blockers up front. So, maybe that's why I work for them. But
absolutely,
Cowboys, you want to emulate that as much as possible. How about this? The Bears versus the Minnesota Vikings here. Caleb Williams showed me something, Bryan Broaddus. Caleb Williams showed me that he got a lot of Jalen Hurts in him. And we've been talking, Bryan, that maybe this Flus zone look stuff, maybe it can work against these younger guys, but maybe not a veteran like Russell Wilson. Well, Caleb Williams, the quarterback, is a younger guy.
Right.
So what I think happens a lot with him is when the looks get muddy, he'll hold that ball and he'll run around.
Yeah.
Just like Jalen Hurts does, right? So this is something that you need to keep eyes on.
Wow.
Bryan. Now, however, because we got to keep talking.
Yeah.
This is where he's different than Jalen Hurts. I think Caleb is really accurate, and I think he's really good on the move, and he can hit Rome Odunze one of our draft darlings, Bryan Broaddus.
Absolutely.
Hitting him on the sideline. Rome Odunze got like 13 catches this year. Fantastic. But even if the blocking breaks down on Caleb like it does right here, he's more athletic than Hurts, and he can move to the outside. And when he's moving, throwing on the run is not a problem. Now, look, this was just an easy example of him hitting Rome on the sideline. I've seen Caleb on the move make throws down here.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you're Cowboy DBs, if you're a Cowboy safety, if you're Donovan Wilson, you got to stay disciplined in this game. You got to do a lot better.
Yeah, I tell you what, though, the most impressive thing was about how quickly he got outside, and then that ball going as fast as it did to the inside. With, you mentioned Rome. Yeah, look at that right there. They lose contain on the edge. Now they're trying to close. It's hard to close on this guy in space.
Yep.
And then the ball being just whipped inside like that the way it was.
Yeah.
Boy, what a catch, what a throw.
What a catch.
And you're right about, you've got to be, if you're one of these Cowboys defensive backs, you've got to find a way to stick with your guy.
Yep.
I mean, you can't lose coverage, especially if you're running across the field.
Fantastic throw and catch there
Yeah.
from Caleb and Rome Odunze. Bryan, I'm always going to give us an opportunity to find an offensive lineman that we can beat up on.
Sure.
The Bears made a lot of off-season moves.
They sure did.
But they fixed the interior.
Right.
So I didn't really see a lot of pressure, but not a lot from the centers and guards or anything like that, Bryan. But these tackles have been picked on, Bryan Broaddus. Darnell Wright, draft guy that we all love from
2023,
Tennessee.
yeah.
Tennessee, he's the right tackle right here. And I think the Lions found opportunities to where they can beat up on him. Hands aren't great, feet aren't great.
Oh, wow.
Coming out of his stands looking terrible, Bryan Broaddus. If Darnell Wright's going to do some of those same things against us, I think that's something that we can take advantage of. Now, let me put my pad down and look at you, Bryan Broaddus.
Yeah.
Let me just say this.
Yeah, okay.
The Cowboys pass rush got to show me something.
They have to show you something. We can keep talking about find the guy.
Yeah.
But how about deliver on find the guy?
Deliver on, because look, Darnell Wright had issues versus the Lions.
Yes.
But I think Darnell Wright's a better offensive lineman than the guys that we went up against last week.
Sure.
Marcus Mbo and Imagn. So look, Cowboys pass rush. I don't know if Clowney's going to be super active this week. Just got here. But what I would love for the Cowboys to do is take advantage of Darnell Wright, who's looking kind of slow-footed.
That looked like he was really late out of his stance there, Voch.
Very late, feet bad. He didn't turn with his feet. He just leaned and turned, Bryan Broaddus.
Right.
Strike wasn't great. If he's going to come to the party with technique like that, Bryan, I'm going to take advantage of that every single time, assuming that our beloved Cowboys can take advantage of that. Now, Bryan, I got one more offensive lineman that we're probably going to try to beat up on.
Okay.
And it's not the interior. Once again, Bryan Broaddus, we're going to go for those tackles. If you can attack the Bears on the outside, you are good to go. Now, we actually know this pass rush right here, Al-Clendine Muhammad. He was one of our guys, but he was like one of our fourth or fifth edges.
Sure.
I noticed him here in the Lions game. I say, all right, cool, Muhammad, let's see what you're doing nowadays. You left the Cowboys, and he's beating the hell out of old Braxton there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, Bryan, Braxton is a guy that's going to lose to power rushers, for the most part, if you got any kind of hand movements.
Boy, Muhammad got inside on him really quickly on that one.
Looking like Marshawn Needham a little bit, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, our pass rusher didn't do a good job last week. Russell Wilson kind of stood there and let you try to rush us, Bryan, but the Cowboys didn't do a really good job of getting there. So I say this with the caveat that the Cowboys pass rushers got to play better. But both these tackles, Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones, are both going to give you opportunities to go in there and deal with them, Bryan.
Wow, I'll tell you what, though, that part of it is encouraging. But like you've talked about before, Voch, got to find a way to make it happen. We can't keep talking about it every week that, hey, go find this guy, go find that guy, and not do anything about it. But you're right. These Cowboys edge rushers have to play better.
Let's come back and talk about this one here, Bryan Broaddus. We always talk about more ways you can get pressure, different ways you can find pressure. Bryan Broaddus, if your front four can't do it, it's one of your favorite draft guys right here. I love when we go to other teams and see how our draft guys are doing. Bryan Broaddus.
Yep.
Getting pressure from a blitzing nickel, from a safety wall. Down. I would love for Flus to see the success that he had blitzing the 5 times he did over the past 2 weeks.
Right.
He had success doing that.
Right.
Flus, find your Wink Martindale,
right,
and blitz a little bit more, and just see what happens to just see what blitzing can bring to the party. Donovan Wilson may not be a guy that I want running backwards covering a bunch, but Donovan Wilson is one of your better players moving forward. Just
absolutely,
running downhill.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So if they got a guy like Brian Burns that can blitz really well, we got a guy like Donovan Wilson that can blitz really well. Make DeAndre Swift come up and deal with you right there. And DeAndre Swift, hey, he stepped up and did his best, but at the end of the day, Burns is a devastating blitzer.
Yeah.
I think that Donovan Wilson is the same kind of guy. So if you can't get pressure with 4, try to get pressure with 5 or 6.
Yeah, they tried it a little bit too with Stewart on some of the slot blitz stuff in the game, and Stewart played well in the game and coverage and aspect, but they needed a little bit more from him as far as trying to get to that to get to Russell Wilson. They just didn't make it happen, though. Maybe Voch a little bit closer. Maybe, and I think you're right. Maybe you go with Donovan Wilson down there. He seems to have a little bit better feel for playing forward that way.
Also, too, you get pressure with Donovan. I just want to remind y'all, find these tackles.
Yeah.
Darnell Wright kind of got off his, he just reaching, he leaning. So I think Darnell Wright can be a better player in the future. But just as of now, week 3, 2025, go find Darnell Wright and try to get some pressure on him.
Well, I'll tell you what, that was a great breakdown for you, Voch. Thank you so much. That's Voch Lombardi once again with the Scout's Eye. We will be back with you next week breaking down the Cowboys game against the Bears. And then we'll also take a look toward the Green Bay Packers. So for my guy Voch Lombardi, I'm Bryan Broaddus. Again, thanks for joining us here on the Scout's Eye. Make sure you're following us on all our platforms, on our YouTube page. We're now on Spotify, Apple, we're on all these things. You can get a listen to us and get the great breakdowns you get on a weekly basis from my guy Voch. So for Bryan Broaddus, for Voch Lombardi, I'm Bryan Broaddus. We'll join you next time on the Scout's Eye.